Hello everybody and welcome to another video on the Pole Position YouTube channel. In this video we are going to be looking at George Russell and the reports that he will be confirmed as a Mercedes driver before the summer break this year. Obviously we know he's had a good season so far at Williams, hasn't got a point yet for Williams, but he is always Mr. Saturday, always getting it done in qualifying. And on the flip side, Valtteri Bottas has had the poorest start of his Mercedes career so far. So could it be that George Russell is announced for next year as early as this year's summer break? Let's have a look into it. So of course, like I said, George Russell has been sort of widely discussed about being the new Mercedes driver for quite some time now. People were thinking it might have been this season, and obviously that wasn't the case. They retained Bottas and Hamilton. Hamilton was the one that had the sort of last minute contract deal, so Bottas was already secured by that point. But of course, like I said, Bottas hasn't had the great start. I'll quickly go into him in a minute as well. But just on George Russell, obviously he hasn't finished any higher than P14 so far this year, which obviously doesn't look good. But when you are in the slowest car, or the second slowest car now, obviously because I think Haas are that slowest car of the team, then it's always going to be difficult. We call George Russell when he gets named Mr. Saturday because he does a great job to get himself so far up on the grid on the Saturdays to be able to start the race in them positions. So he's always getting into to Q2. 6 out of the 6 qualifying sessions so far this year he's managed to get into Q2, which just shows how good his level is, as it were, for the 23-year-old. Did a great job again. Obviously we know, and it's been talked about as well, how great of a job he did covering for Lewis Hamilton in Sakhir last year. And I think without the sort of pit stop issues that they had, and of course the flat tyre as well on his second to last stint, he probably would have won that race. I think obviously it was great that Sergio Perez won his first race of his Formula 1 career, but I think George Russell, first time out in the Mercedes, had the confidence and had the performance to win that race. So we all know, that he's got the capability to be in that top team. Obviously there's been discussions as well with the photos of himself and Fernando Alonso doing like a driver helmet swap at the Monaco Grand Prix, and Fernando Alonso put that he's a future world champion, and said that in his time out he was watching George Russell as well, and one of the key people he was watching during his time out of Formula 1, and saying that this is a guy that has all the capabilities to be a future world champion, but obviously needs the car and has been struggling over the last couple of years because he doesn't have the performance to highlight how well he's done. But even without that, he's been able to shine in some performances. So obviously, like I said, Valtteri Bottas hasn't had a terrible time at Mercedes since 2017. 9 wins, 17 poles and 49 podiums, and that's the key thing for Mercedes, is that he's been there on the podium to give them the points to be constructors champions for this many years. So 7 straight constructors world titles, and that is in essence down to Valtteri Bottas as well, helping Lewis Hamilton to win the drivers championship, and obviously Mercedes to win the constructors. So it hasn't been a terrible time for Mercedes. It's been great for them to have Valtteri Bottas in there, but I think with Lewis Hamilton slowly, he's still one of the best drivers on the grid, if not the best, but he's slowly coming to the end of his career. I think now to make that change and bring in George Russell as well, I think it is probably the right time. As much as I'm a fan of Bottas, it hasn't been his worst start. Obviously it has, and he has had issues. Again, he's the most unlucky driver on the grid, I think, and especially in Mercedes, he is the one that always has the issues. Obviously Lewis Hamilton had that brake issue in Azerbaijan, but if you go to the team issues, it always seems to be around Bottas. Obviously that terrible pit stop in Monaco, and weirdly Mercedes blamed Bottas for that. Toto Wolff said, maybe Bottas was a bit off his mark, and Bottas was like, that definitely wasn't the case. I was in the right place, and they just couldn't get the wheel off. So already you were starting to see possibility that the relationship is slowly breaking down. I think Mercedes needed Bottas to be in a points position in Azerbaijan when Lewis Hamilton lost all them points for them, and Bottas, I don't think he was even in a points position throughout the whole race. He just struggled to get in the points, struggled to get into the top 10. Just not a great performance at all. And Bottas goes on, first of all, I haven't spoken anything about contracts yet so far. Hopefully we get it sorted a little bit earlier. I know from previous experience, the sooner you can sort these things out, the better, and the better for everyone. He's also said he's quite open-minded in life in general. Obviously wants to stay in F1, feels he's got a good few more years in him, but he's not ruling out the potential that he may be at a different team next season. He's not saying I want to keep driving for Mercedes. You know, he is saying I'm open and still feel I've got a few years left in me. So this is Valtteri Bottas thinking I might not be at Mercedes next year. I better put the feelers out to other teams. So you know, he's also thinking it. Mercedes, Toto Wolff has already said he wants to get the deals done as early as possible this year, with the issues he had with Hamilton at the start of this year, only just signing the contract. He wants to get both drivers done, and I think ultimately, you know, George Russell again has said he wants to conclude talks as soon as possible. I'm sure everything will be sorted no later than the end of the summer break. I think with Mercedes they'll want to get that done earlier, and I think it'll be possible that George Russell will be announced alongside Lewis Hamilton for next season. How many years Hamilton's got left, we don't know, but I certainly think that you know, George Russell has it is George Russell's time now. I think Bottas is slowly coming to the end of his Mercedes career, and that it will be George Russell and Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes for next season. Like I said, please let me know in the comment section below as well. Do you think it will be George Russell and Lewis Hamilton next season? Do you think Valtteri Bottas has got one more year at Mercedes left in him? How many years do you think Lewis Hamilton's going to be in there? It's sort of still a bit of a everything up in the air in terms of Mercedes at the minute, but I still think Hamilton and George Russell for next year. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please like the video as well and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. See you soon.